Hi everybody, this is Corey Jeffers. I am going to try and take you through step number 3 in the June 4 Google form training. Kind of show you how this AutoCrat script works and how to configure everything. So what you're looking at right now is actually an 11 by 17 poster, and I'm going to try and take you through some of the parts. So let's try to get started here. To start off with, in the spreadsheet that has the results of all your students' answers, basically, or all your kind of like your answer sheet, you have to go to Insert and then go down to where it says Script. And then when you use you insert Script, it takes you to the Script Gallery search engine here. So you're going to go ahead and search for AutoCrat. And what will pop up then is two versions of AutoCrat, one in Spanish and one in English. So you go ahead and install that down there. And then what it'll do is it'll actually make AutoCrat as a part of your spreadsheet then, and it'll be a tab at the top right next to Help, kind of like you see right here. So you'll click on that one and it'll say Run Initial Configuration. You'll go ahead and run the configuration, and then eventually you'll end up with a bunch of options, these step 1 through 6, and then this advanced options section here. So you'll have those, and then basically what we're going to do right now is just kind of run through each of those steps. So what happens is when you click on step 1, it requires you to choose a template, which is a Google document. And we've already shown you some of this in step number 2. So basically this template form is what gets pushed back to the students, and it's pretty much customized based on how they fill out your Google form. So you have to do this step prior to running AutoCrat. So you got to make the template specific to your assignment. So if I was doing one in figurative language, I'd have to have a template for my figurative language assessment. Alright, so I go ahead and select the appropriate template for that and then push the select button. And then that moves me on to step number 2. And step number 2 asks me where in the spreadsheet are all of my responses. Well, basically, if you're using the Google form the way we've shown you how to do it, you're only going to have one little tab at the bottom, and it's going to be called Form Responses. So that's pretty much an automatic step. Just go ahead and push Save. We're going to scroll way over here and go down to step number 3. And in step number 3, this is how it tells us which students are actually going to be getting a reassessment form. So in step 3, we have a column that says if there's any learning target that says reassess, then place the reassess word here. So basically, if that little row has the word reassess in it, then it's going to AutoCrat is going to send that particular student in that row a reassessment document telling them which ones to reassess, and we'll get to how it knows which ones to reassess in just a second. So basically that's step 3. We're going to scroll way over until we get to step 4. In step 4, basically what this is asking you for is it's saying, alright, the Google document that you attached this to before, how are you going to basically map some of the information that students filled out to this particular Google form? So we have here is this name area, and basically on the Google form, or the Google document rather, we have name, class, period, title of assessment, timestamp, and score. And basically we're just going to match those to what questions you asked on the Google form. So you asked what is your first and last name, what is your class name. Basically, as long as you match those together there, anything that they answer for example, what is the name of the assessment, is there's only one option for them to answer. It's going to then go ahead and fill all that into their Google document that they'll have to use as their reassessment form. So you'll go ahead and save all the mappings for number 4. Then we'll move way over to number 5, and number 5 is the most complicated. So basically number 5 tells you, first of all, what type of thing are you going to be having your Google form responses turn into? Do you want it to turn into a Google document, a PDF, so on and so forth? So I'm going to actually zoom out just a little bit here. And basically in step 5 then it says we have this is basically what you're looking at, these little blue areas here. This is the label of all of the columns in our spreadsheet. So we had a column that was basically called Learning Target 2 Total with the cut score of 7 and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and select down here where it says Save Merged Files to Docs, because we do want all those merged files to go into Google Documents. For this one, I was using a figurative language assessment, so I made a folder earlier called Figurative Language Assessments folder. For the file naming convention to use, you go ahead and kind of zoom in a little bit here. So in the file naming convention, I basically wanted to say I want all these files to be called whatever the student's first and last name is, and then also what is the name of this assessment. So whatever they selected for that. So if I were a student in the class, mine would be Corey Jeffers, and then it would be figurative language assessment. So that's what it would be called. The type of file I want to create with all of the data in the spreadsheet is I want to create a Google Doc. I'd like to save a link to the Google Docs that is specific to each student. I'd like to save that right in my spreadsheet, so I go ahead and check that. I'd also want to make sure that I want to send these merged files via email so that when it comes time for the data from the spreadsheet to be turned into a reassessment document, I want the student to be notified that they're going to get a reassessment document. So basically I check that send merged files via email, and then I take the username and put it in the recipient email addresses box there, so because the username in the Wausau School District is also the email address. I want to email the students, so I say the subject of this is reassessment form for figurative language summative assessment. You could actually take the what is the name of this assessment right here and then just put the word reassessment form after that as well. And then this one would be called, for example, figurative language summative assessment reassessment forms is what would be in the email subject. There's a short note to recipient in which you can use any of the information from the Google spreadsheet in order to kind of customize this. So for example, I have hello, what is your first and last name? So it's going to customize the message for any student that receives it. I'll go through some more information that you'd want to have in this email in just a second. The attachment type that you're going to give to kids is you want the recipient to be able to edit the Google Doc, because when they get a reassessment form, you want them to be able to write in what their strategy is for reassessing. So you want to have access to that, but you also might want to be able to ask the student some questions on that document, or be able to fill in some things that that need to be filled in. So both of you have access to the document. Both of you can edit the document, and actually the teachers, the owner, and the student is shared on the document. Depending on whether or not you have qualitative or quantitative, if you have all quantitative questions, you can click this trigger merge on form submit, and what will happen is that basically all the formulas will be copied down, and then the Google document that is sent to students as a reassessment form will actually be turned into them immediately as they submit the Google form. If you have qualitative responses, this is not a very good idea, because you won't have the opportunity to grade any of those qualitative responses before the script starts trying to activate. So as soon as the student pushes the words submit on their Google form when they're taking the test, that'll start activating the script. So again, qualitative means that you should not have it checked. Quantitative means that you should have it checked. Okay, let's go back to this step right here where you have to fill in a note to the recipients. What we've done with this one is we've actually kind of given you an example email. So you'd say, hello, what is your first and last name? Based on your assessment results, you will need to complete the reassessment form. If the word reassess appears next to any of the learning targets below, you will need to highlight those learning targets on the Google document attached to this email. So basically we put a little HTML in here for some breaks so it's not all attached to the same line. The B means bold, the U means underlined, so this learning targets to reassess is going to be bold and underlined. Be 2 breaks and then 2 spaces, and basically it says learning target 1, and then it fills in the information from this learning target 1 reassess column that we had on our spreadsheet. And I basically just took that stuff from over here, so I just kind of copied and pasted these values. And those values basically just take whatever is in that column for each individual student. So if they have to reassess the learning target number 1, the word reassess will appear right next to learning target number 1. If they have to reassess for number 2, it's the same thing basically. If they don't have to reassess for any of these, it's just blank after the word learning target number 1 right here. There's just a blank space there, which is helpful. Then at the bottom here, if you decide to do your reassessments based on comprehensive totals and you don't do yours based on individual learning targets, if you wanted to do it based on a comprehensive total, you can do it down here too and say, look, if your comprehensive total is less than 70%, so in this case it looks like 14 would be the cut score because 21 is the total score, you can also have a comprehensive total thrown in there as well. We'll do 2 breaks, and then you can say, let me know if you have questions, and then you can put your name at the bottom of that. So that's the email that students get, and there's also a link to their Google document right at the end of that email. So it tells them what to do with it, and they can get started pretty much immediately. So that's step 5, and then there's actually a second part to number 5. So the second part to number 5 is, so 5.5 here, we should probably put 5.1, but whatever. Basically what we have is that there's a section in here underneath advanced options. So if you click on AutoCrat and you go to where it says advanced options, there's actually an advanced option that says copy down formulas on form submit right in here. And you actually do want to do this. You want to make sure that you do that prior to students actually taking the test, because you want to write those formulas down once, and you want those formulas to be copied down for every single student submission. So each time that the student pushes submit, you want to make sure that those formulas are copied down. So when you click on that copy down formulas on form submit, this is kind of what it looks like here. And it basically takes all the formulas that you've created and it says which ones do you want to copy down. So you basically select those from the top here. Just kind of push these, push the button for any of these up here, and then it will actually select those for you. And then you can just push save. Then that way you only have to type the formulas in one time, and then it'll be copied down for every student. So you do it once, and then if you got 140 students taking an assessment, then it will it'll basically customize it as the students take the test. You can kind of watch to see. You can actually watch it happen and see what their grades are and their scores are in each question as they're taking the test, which is pretty cool. All right, the last part then is number 6, and so number 6 is pretty much where you kind of run this this script just to send out reassessment forms, so reassessment documents. So in step 6, it kind of depends on how you've set it up. If you've only set it up as entirely quantitative, you can actually run this merge like we did before over here on form submit. So every single time a student pushes submit, it just kind of runs this and actually sends them a reassessment document immediately. Otherwise, if you have qualitative assessments, or if you have ones that are a combination of quantitative and qualitative, you'll want to uncheck this section over here where it says trigger merge on form submit. You do not want it to merge when the student hits the submit button, because you'll have to take some time to actually go through and grade those qualitative questions. Once you're done grading the qualitative questions, this is where you would actually go to step 6 in the process. So again, you'd use that AutoCrat menu, click on step 6, and then what step 6 actually looks like is this. It says to run merge now. So after you've graded all of those qualitative questions, you can push the run merge now, and then your entire class will start getting, or anybody in your class that has a column that says reassess will start getting those documents. So that's pretty much a rundown of how to use it. Hopefully you can use this 11 by 17 to kind of to give you a head start. And now that everybody has a copy of it too, you can actually make a copy, and you can copy some of this information in here. The script actually, this is already set up for you as a template to be scripted if you would like to, so you can copy and paste these things here. If you only have 2 learning targets, you can delete one of these learning target sections in here, but you can definitely use this template as part of your email if you'd like to do that. So certainly give it a shot, and remember, if we can do this the right way on each of these assessments, you can share it with everybody in your department, and then we can get a lot more data back and have things automated a little bit easier. So alright, that's it. Thanks for listening.